Two sport watches with very good built-in GPS and health tracking, lots of sport tracking features, and a very good battery life, but only one comes out on top today. So right here I have the Garmin Venu 2, and on my other hand I have the freshly released Polar Pacer Pro. And in today's video we will compare these two watches to see which one is better, which one is more accurate, and what does one have that the other one does not have. Hey folks, my name is Leonard, you're watching a product reviewer. And before we get started, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Also hit the notification bell to never miss out on any new fresh uploads. And now let's get to the video. So first of all, let's talk about the price. And both watches aren't cheap in particular. Now the Polar Pacer Pro comes in at a price of around 300 euros in the official store. Whereas the Garmin Venu 2 will come in at a price of like 350. But this one is already 1 year old and you can get it for like 300 in other online stores or even less. Now, I made a 1 year review about this one already. Just in case you want to check that one out, I will leave the link down in the description below. And I guess that's all there is to say about the price. So let's get to the next point. Up to the battery life, and both watches have pretty similar stats right here. Now, I've had the Polar Pacer Pro on my wrist for the last 5 days or so, and I get quite a few notifications here and there, and I did a 1.5 GPS track workout, and I killed about half of the battery life. You also get 100 hours of training time in the power saving mode and 35 hours training with the full GPS and heart rate enabled. Now over to the Garmin Venu 2. And if you've been following this channel, you know that it's my favorite smartwatch of all time by a mile. Now, just like the Polar Pacer Pro, I had this one on my wrist for the last 5 days. I received a whole bunch of notifications and I did 3 workouts for about 20 minutes with the GPS turned on, and I still have about 60% of battery life left. Now the biggest difference between these two watches is that I did not have the always display mode enabled on a Garmin Venu 2, and I did have it on a Polar Pacer Pro. Now if you know smartwatches, you know it's one of the biggest battery life killers that you can have on a smartwatch. Now to be fairly honest, I do not think that you can actually turn it off or on the Polar Pacer Pro, and I guess that's all there is to say about the battery life. So let's get to the next point. The accuracy of the built-in GPS and the heart rate are some of the most important features to look for in a smartwatch. And I tell you, you are not going to be disappointed in either one of them, even though one is a little bit better than the other one. Now in my past, I never had any good experiences with Polar watches, as they were never that accurate regarding the built-in GPS nor the heart rate. But this one right here is the first one that I actually really like. Now as I was comparing it to the Garmin Venu 2, both watches almost gave me the exact same heart rate stats. On my 5K, the Polar Pacer Pro gave me an average heart rate of 160 beats per minute with a high of 170 and 475 burned calories. Whereas the Venu 2 gave me the same 160 beats per minute on average, but a slightly higher max with 172 beats and 461 burned calories. By the way, they also almost gave me the same pace with 517 on the Polar and 519 per minute per kilometer on the Garmin Venu 2. So I was very pleased with both watches. As for the built-in GPS, I have to say that the Venu 2 is slightly better than the Pacer Pro. As you can see on the map, the Polar Pacer Pro has very shaky lines from basically start to end. It does get a little bit better in the park, but it gets worse once you get back to the city. I mean, it's still very good, but just not as good as the Garmin Venu 2. So right here I have the same workout as on the Pacer Pro, and you can see that the lines at the start are very shaky as well, but once you get to the park, they are pretty much spot on. And that's basically the little advantage the Garmin Venu 2 has over the Polar Pacer Pro, since when you get back to the city, the lines get shaky once again. Now, if I have to rate these watches with a scale from 1 to 10, I would give the Garmin Venu 2 a 9 and the Polar Pacer Pro something like a 8.5 or better. So pretty similar. As for the smart features, Garmin Venu 2 is the clear winner. But let's start with the Polar Pacer Pro and see what this one has to offer. On this watch we get a pretty good sleep tracker that tracks your light and deep sleep as well as your REM and awake time. And in addition to it, you get a whole bunch of extra stats regarding your sleep, like your sleep stability, regeneration, and a few more. Further, we get smart notifications, so we can receive notifications from just about every app on our smartphone and see who takes it right on our wrist. Now just keep in mind that you cannot reply to any messages, and you can only read the messages, and if it's an Instagram message, you can like it. We also have a standard music player, but no offline music if you was wondering, a timer, stopwatch, breathing exercises, and we get to see a small 3-day weather forecast. Now the Garmin Venu 2 offers way more. Not only do we get notifications right on our smartwatch, but you can quickly reply to your messages. You do get the free preset answers, but if you head over into the Garmin Connect app, we can add some more anytime we want to. Now there's one thing that you might have noticed, and that is that the Garmin Venu has a touch display, whereas the Polar Pacer Pro does not. Now it has 5 physical buttons to do your navigation. Now it's different from person to person. So personally, I like to have a touch display to swipe up and down, left and right and do all that stuff, but there are some benefits to buttons. So for example, if it's raining, if you're sweating, or if you have gloves on, it's way better to have buttons for navigation. Now, just like on the Pacer Pro, we have a sleep tracking, but in addition, we also get to see our heart rate, respiration rate, and movement during the night. The probably 2 big differences is the music player and the app store. So on this watch, you can download lots of apps from the Garmin iQ Connect store, like additional watch faces, maps, or even music apps like Deezer, Amazon Music, and Spotify. For example, on Spotify, once you hooked up your account to your watch, you can start downloading all of your favorite tracks, whole playlists, and even podcasts to listen to without your smartphone being nearby. Now, just to complete the list, we also have a weather forecast, all of the different timers, and animated customizable watch faces. On these ones, we can decide which metrics should be displayed and the accent colors. Alright, let's head over to what these 2 watches has to offer sport-wise. The Garmin Venu has 25 different sport modes to choose from, starting from water and winter sports over to running, hiking, and extreme sports, and all of them are actually customizable. So for each sport mode, you can set different sport displays with up to 4 different metrics like your heart rate, time, pace, and distance, just for an example. This watch also tracks your heart rate, sleep, blood oxygen and stress level, respiration rate, and your body battery, whereas the Polar Pacer Pro only tracks your sleep and your heart rate. Therefore, it has right around 130 different sport modes to choose from. So there's basically not one sport mode out there that this little device does not track. All of these sport profiles are customizable, similar to the Venu 2. You can set different displays with up to 4 metrics, set automatic laps and heart rate zones, and activate little things like back to start feature, Strava segment, auto pause, and a GPS frequency. So overall, quite a lot to customize over here. As for last, let's talk about the specs and the design. And the Garmin Venu 2 is available in 2 different sizes. You can either get it in the bigger 45mm or the smaller 40mm version, and both have a whole bunch of different colors to choose from. Now this one right here is the 45mm, and this one has a 1.3 AMOLED touch display with a resolution of 416 by 416 pixel. It has a 20mm silicone strap with a quick release feature. It is water resistant up to 5 ATM, weighs in at 51 grams, and has a plastic case with a very nice looking stainless steel bezel that tapers off just a little bit towards the edges of the watch. The Polar Pacer Pro also has a 45mm case with an aluminum bezel. This one has a 1.2-inch MIP screen with a resolution of 240 by 240 pixel. It weighs in at 41 grams, and there are 4 different colors to choose from. Now you can either get this purple reddish color, blue, gray, or white. And folks, that's all there is to say about these watches. I hope you liked this comparison. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. That would really help me out. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next one. Peace!